Welcome into SBR's closing line for Sunday, June 2nd. We got Ski Prophet, Ian Cameron, myself, Drew Martin, breaking down tonight's NBA Finals Game 2, Raptors versus Warriors. We're also going to be talking some MLB betting on today's slate, plus WNBA, maybe some CFL, whatever the chat box wants to throw out. Let us know what you're betting as well. We'll go around the horn here. We got Hakeem Prophet on Twitter as at Ski Prophet. One of the best NBA guys out there, knows the WNBA as well. Welcome into the show.
What's going on, Drew? And finally, we're here. Finally, another day of NBA Finals. I'm looking forward to it. Ready to break it down with you guys.
Yeah, interested in your opinion, and saw you on Twitter. And guys, if you're not following him on Twitter, you should be at Ski Prophet. Great follow out there, throwing out free plays. Really good. I know a lot of people following him, a lot of people liking him on Twitter, so I definitely recommend it. Another one I recommend as well. One of the best CFL bettors out there, knows sports betting very well himself overall. On Twitter, at Babano, Ian Cameron. Welcome into the show.
Good to be with you guys again. Ready to. This is finally we got an NBA Finals game. It always feels like you got to wait an eternity sometimes between the games here in the NBA Finals, but that's a product of the schedule. But finally, we got Game 2, Warriors Raptors. Excited to watch it. Excited to talk about it, and some MLB. We'll throw some baseball action in as well to talk about.
Let's get into it, Ian. We got a bunch of people here in the chat box. Adam, welcome in. Good morning to you. D-Bash, Mark Hare, Marlon Gibson in the house. Sharp Money. Hey, Cappers, what's up? All the Cappers out there, feel free to throw in the chat box what you're betting and why. Feel free to market it however you'd like. The Taint play of the day, barbecue scandal play of the day. Good morning, fellas, from the Big Guy Bubba. Know him on Twitter as well. He's a big guy on there on Twitter, the Big Guy Bubba. But, guys, we were talking about it before. Game 2, Golden State at Toronto here, north of the border again, Ian, in your neck of the woods. We got -2 now, the Raptors. Total of 213, 213.5 here, depending where you're shopping. Throw it to you, Ian. What are you thinking? Opening thoughts here for tonight's game?
Yeah, obviously this is a game that I think, and I mentioned this yesterday, this is not a time to relax, take a breather, and say, job done, mission accomplished if you're the Toronto Raptors. I think it's as important as winning Game 1 to win tonight. Defend home court, have that 2-0 series lead going back to Golden State instead of being tied 1-1, with the possibility that we might indeed have a Kevin Durant sighting later in this series. So if you're the Toronto Raptors, there's no time to get complacent and satisfied. And that's been the mantra from Toronto. You know, throughout the playoffs, after beating the Bucks, after winning Game 1, you know, you heard Masai Ujiri said it, say it when they won after the Milwaukee series. He said, we're not satisfied. The players have echoed that after the Game 1 win. We played well. We're not satisfied. We need to try to defend home court. It's just as important we win the next game. So, I think Toronto's going to bring a great effort tonight, but you certainly know Golden State. They don't take losses lightly. They have still a tremendous team, even without Durant, led by Curry and Thompson. You would think in theory they're going to bring a much stronger effort all around, particularly at the defensive end of the basketball court. That's really the end where, Curry was talking about it. Steve Kerr was talking about it. Draymond Green was talking about it, that their defense was just not up to par in Game 1 of this series. They allowed the Raptors too many easy baskets, particularly in the open floor and transition. That's a situation that they are trying to fix and limit those opportunities tonight for the Toronto Raptors. So getting back to the defensive acumen that we know they're capable of, that they clearly didn't have in Game 1, plus the Raptors shot percentages in that game, particularly from three-point range, that I don't think it's fair to expect them to duplicate that here tonight in game number 2. And on the flip side for Golden State, other than Curry or Thompson, I'm not exactly sure who's going to step up offensively for them. And it's going to make, I think, the Toronto Raptors be able to defend them easier. You're going to have to eventually get something from your Jerebkos and your Andre Iguodala's offensively, regardless of whether he's banged up or not. He was hobbling a bit. He is going to play, but you need some of these other guys on this Golden State team. We know the bench has been, the depth of it is a little bit of an issue, but it can't always be Curry and Thompson providing all the offense for you. And until that happens, I think it's going to be a situation where Toronto defensively is going to be able to match up pretty well against Golden State. And I think Golden State's going to turn it up their just execution level in terms of their rotations, their coverages, and their assignments at that end of the court tonight too, which is why this total's been hammered down a bit. I think a lot of bettors agree that we might see something like that from both teams. Step up efforts defensively. We've seen money come in on the under. Some of it is indeed mine.
We do have
You're
a
muted,
2-point move. Yeah, sorry about that. We have a 2-point move towards the under here, seeing 213 across the board. Ski, to you, after what Ian said, he's on the under. I believe what first half you were looking at a play. What do you got pending so far?
Yeah, I am. I'm on the first half under, and Ian brought up a lot of great points, a lot of things that I was looking at as well. One thing Ian said that it's a big game for Toronto in game 2. Like they need to win this game as well. And I was listening to the interviews, kind of the same. Lowry, he said that Warriors have rings; they can be confident. He's like, we have to focus on us. And they asked him, like, what keeps them grounded? And he said, yeah, if Kawhi or any of the older or veteran guys keep them grounded. He said, yeah, Kawhi, Mark, Danny, Nick Nurse keeps the team composed. So I expect Toronto to still show up and still have the same effort, not have any let up. And as far as the Warriors, I mean, all I heard from them was defense, defense, defense. Just as Ian said, Kerr said transitions D was awful. Draymond said you have to be better on defense, and it starts with me. Curry, he said the Raptors were too comfortable. The defense can be better. And he said game 2 is an opportunity to right the wrongs. And I trust Steve Kerr to make adjustments. I trust the Warriors team to step up. And one more thing from the other side, Nick Nurse, he said the Warriors have to get good shots and try to answer and try not to have offensive droughts because Golden State can score quick. And that tells me that that the Raptors are going to use all of the clock as much as they can to get the best shot possible because they know they need every bucket. And that leads me to think under. I mean, I'm hearing defense, defense, defense from both teams. And Warriors, without KD, they have to play defense in order to win. With no KD and with Steph, the under is 25-14 last 39 games. After a loss for Golden State, the under is 18-11. Last 3 first halves, if you combine both of them for Golden State and Toronto, they combine to average 105 points in the first half. And if you're looking at the last game, just as Ian said, I don't expect Toronto to shoot those percentages again. They shot 51% from the field. Siakam was 14 for 17. Gasol 6 for 10. Van Fleet 5 for 8. I'm not expecting them to do that again. The Warriors doing all this talk about defense, I can't see it. And think about both teams, or not both teams, but the Raptors were in the penalty in the second quarter and the fourth quarter with 5+ minutes to go. And the Warriors were in the penalty probably around the same time as well. Both teams shot 63 free throws. Both teams shot 39% from 3. I just don't see that happening again with all this attention to detail on defense.
Good stats there, Ski. I like that one, 25-14 over under with Curry, without Durant for Golden State. Is there a particular reason why you're focusing on the first half under over the full game under?
Well, one thing for sure, I'll say last game, you can look at it. Jimmy the Bag asked me this also last time, why I was looking at the full game total over in game 1 rather than the first half. And I said, because the number for the first half is pretty high. Like it's 109.5 right now, right? And the full game is 213. If they go over, if they score 110 points in the first half, 9 times out of 10, I think they're going to score 103 in the second. So I expect them to come out from the start with the effort on defense. I mean, they've said time and time again in the interview, I don't expect them to come out in the third quarter or second quarter and all of a sudden play defense. I expect it from the beginning. So I like the little bit better number. I think 109 is a little better for me in the first half. That's just why I like it.
Okay, and we're seeing 109.5 as the total here, -1 on Toronto. And guys, check out SBR odds for all this information. You can click from tab to tab. They got full game, first half, second half, first quarter. You can look at just money lines and totals. So definitely recommend SBR odds if you haven't checked it out yet. So Ski Lake in first half under here. Ian, back to you before we go to MLB, other sports, open it up. Anything else you want to throw out for tonight's Game 2 NBA Finals? Keeping in mind we have the best bets coming up at the end.
Yeah, and the question for Toronto is, are we going to see an OG Anunoby? sighting in the game tonight. They're talking that he might be active for this game and might get some minutes. And if he does play in this game, that's going to make underbettors happy. This guy is more suited, more apt defensively, rebounding, give you that kind of ability. OG Anunoby, he can be a decent offensive player too, but he's really a guy that for the Raptors tends to hang his hat more at the defensive end of the court. So there's just another defensive body with length, with athleticism, with size that certainly can throw some fits at Golden State if he is indeed cleared to play, active, and in the rotation tonight in some way for Nick Nurse. I don't expect his minutes to be through the roof or anything, especially when he's been out with that appendicitis for so long, had that appendectomy, which is why he's been out for as long as he's been. But if he does play, that's another another in a long list of many Toronto Raptor players that can flat out get after it at the defensive end of the court. I mean, that's why Toronto's in the NBA Finals to a large extent. Obviously, the heroics and incredible all-around play of Kawhi Leonard, first and foremost. But the second factor of them being in the finals here, guys, to me, is their defense. You know, it's been tremendous all season. It's been tremendous here in the playoffs. Number one in defensive efficiency here in the NBA playoffs. It's a team that can just flat out suffocate you defensively. I mean, you just ask Golden State for extended stretches in Game 1. They were able to do it to a tremendous offensive team. And you get a guy like OG Anunoby back, just another plus defender that's added to the rotation.
And Ski, I want to ask you a question before we open it up. We're seeing a full game total of 213.5 and a first half total of 109.5. I know college basketball better than the NBA. I know you know the NBA really as good as anybody. And throwing this out there, the second half, because of the opportunity for foul fests in a competitively lined game here at 1 or 2, we're getting it. Second halves tend to be higher scoring here. Why aren't we seeing that tonight? Is there a particular reason why in your mind?
Well, I think Raptors fourth quarters have been playing more towards unders. And I mean, if both teams are really trying to score, and like I said, for the quote from the Raptors, you have to get good shots. You can't have offensive droughts because Golden State can score quick. In the fourth quarter, let's say it's a close game, they're going to take 20 to 24 seconds to get the best shot possible. So they're gonna take their time, and I think it's less points scored that way. And they also play better defense in the fourth. I mean, that's the way I see it. It's not always that way throughout the year, but in a game like this with two teams that are more than capable on defense, I could see them locking down in the fourth quarter, but I could also see them shooting free throws the way you said if it's a close game. So I just want to stay away from it. I think the defensive intensity is there from the start. So I'll take away the foul fest at the end. And there was a few more things I wanted to touch on, Drew, before we move on from NBA.
Absolutely, man.
I want to answer one question, too, really quick from Vitalis. Vitalis asks, Warriors and third quarter, whatever the line is going to be, I haven't seen the Warriors lose a third quarter in any game I've watched this year. They flipped the switch. Your thoughts? And then also thinking about why take the first half under than the full game. Vitalis comes back and says the Warriors always flip a switch in the third quarter. So if you're going to take an under, it would have to be the first half. And I can see that too. I mean, we've seen that from the Warriors time and time again, where they don't have such a good first half and then they explode in the second half. So it could go either way. And as far as quarters, I think there's an advantage to be had. I mean, we expect the Warriors to come out ready this time. We said, I said, did I think they would be rusty? I said, no. They said they were rusty. Steph said 10 days of rest. Yeah, we're a little rusty. We didn't play the best game, but we had a chance to win in the fourth. And Draymond Green, I watched him. He was making a pass a second late all game long. So I think they were rusty. I think they come out strong here in this first quarter. As I said before, I mean, after the loss yesterday, first quarters, they should be, I think it's 8-3. I don't have it written down right here. I should. 8-3 against the spread on the first quarter. Last 3 first quarters, Warriors averaged 28 points. Last 3 first quarters for the Raptors, they averaged 21.7. I'm expecting the Warriors to come out strong here. I like the Warriors on the first quarter. And just a couple more interesting stats on the full game. Warriors are 16-7 in the game after a loss in the playoffs since 2015. But they're 0-4. This one is interesting. They're 0-4 in their last 4 finals games without Durant, and they're 8-1 with him. So that one was one that was kind of interesting to me on the full game. But I do like I see an advantage for Golden State on that first quarter. And lastly, Steph said they had a lack of effort. That's what I picked up mostly, effort and defense. And I think they bring it today from the start.
Great stats there, Ski. We got Mikey D in the chat box saying, "What's up, homies and homettes? Let's get it." Absolutely, Ian. Did you want to jump in here? Anything else NBA after all the stats that Mr. Ski Profit threw out?
Player props wise, I cashed a prop bet in game one, and you got to look. I look player props in the NBA Finals. Like I say, you can only have side and total, and usually those are tricky at this time of year. So when I bet the NBA Finals, I look more at the player props in the NBA Finals way more than I do at other times during the season. And I jumped on Danny Green over 6.5 points in game one. He got the job done. Had 11 points in game one. Of course, there was a big reduction in his prop numbers because of the struggles. This is his time, I think, to get going for the Raptors. And I think game one is just going to prove to be a tip of the iceberg for him in terms of getting that shooting stroke back. If you're a great three-point shooter, you don't put your head down and give up. You keep shooting. Eventually, you're going to find your stroke. You're going to find your rhythm. And I think he showed signs of that last time out in game number one. And considering that, the Warriors simply have to pay so much attention to Kawhi, they're absolutely going to put a double and triple star and triple circle Pascal Siakam today after the game he had in game one. So I don't expect him to go off anywhere close to what he did in game one. You focus on those two. Fred VanVleet was a guy that got some production, 15 points from him in game one. So that's going to leave someone else open. And I think that guy could be Danny Green. I still think Golden State will at times take their chances, leaving him open at times so that they can pay attention to some of these other guys, particularly the ones that hurt them in game number one. Now, his prop number's been increased a little bit. It was 6.5 prior to game one. It's 8.5 tonight, minus 120. I still like over 8.5 points for Danny Green. You give him 3 triples, 3 trays, you cash that ticket. That gives you 9 points, and I think he can do that. I think he's showing signs of getting that 3-point form back. So I like Danny Green over 8.5 points tonight.
Player props there for me and Cameron like it. We got Lamont Williams saying his max bet Golden State solo over 106. Vitalis in the chat box. Warriors third quarter, whatever the line's going to be, probably minus 120. Have not seen the Warriors lose a third quarter in any game I've watched this year. They flipped the switch. Your thoughts on that? So third quarter, possibly looking towards the Warriors here, Ski. Ski, you threw out some stats there. 16-7 off a loss in the playoffs. That's the Warriors there. Also 0-4 without Durant in the finals. So both of those kind of stats going up against each other here. I'll tell you this: the final stats. It's it is the NBA Finals again, but I think from year to year carrying that over has a little bit less relevance. I would look towards the 16-7 off of a loss. However, they are without Durant. Which one do you qualify more and take into your handicap more out of those two key stats?
I would agree with you, Drew, and I'll take the 16-7 in the game after a loss in the playoffs. I mean, just because I can take that stat and put it with some other stats and get a good reading. Like this stat here, under 18-11 after a loss this year. That tells me that the Warriors want to play defense after a loss. 16-7 tells me that they're focused after a loss. So I would put more stock into that one. And I did have a question for you too as well, Drew. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. The series price, it's dropped a little bit more even now. It's at, I think, minus 135. And we're talking about the series price or the money line today or what it should be or whatever the case is. I'm not quite sure. My gut feeling is that the Warriors win this game. It's hard for me. I can't really see them losing. Looking at what the market is telling me, it's telling me that the Raptors are going to win. And this stat right here doesn't give me much confidence 0-4 without Durant. But as you said, more stock into the 16-7. So
yeah, Ski.
I still do think the Warriors win the series, Drew.
Yeah, so
I still do think they win the series. So I'll be on that.
Okay, yeah, I do too, and sorry about that, guys, for the technical difficulties. But as far as the series price, I was shouting it to you on Twitter at Ski Profit, and I think overall it was kind of a bad bet on my part. I just kind of jumped out there. I saw the series price minus 150 at one of the sports books, minus 140, and I saw minus 140, and I just kind of got trigger happy and just bet it, And really, you came back on Twitter and said, well, why not just bet game 2? And then just because they're underdogs anyway, instead of laying a price in the series. And after thinking about it, I went ahead and doubled up. So I bet the Warriors and I bet them on the series price. So on my part, it was probably a little bit trigger happy on the bet. I'm sure everybody out there in the chat box has done that as well. And it's things that you can learn from going forward. I mean, I'm not a big series future price better anyway. But, when it's the NBA Finals, it's kind of fun to have a series price out there. So on my part, I think it was a little I was too soon to pull the trigger on that. But overall, I like the Warriors game too. I do like them in the series price, minus 135, even lower. I doubt I'm going to jump any more on it just because of the whole philosophy behind it. But yeah, Ian, anything else you want to throw in here, series price or any stats at all?
Yeah, I mean, the Golden State series price will interest me if they lose tonight. That's always been my thought process right from the beginning, is that I'll wait and see how these first 2 games go. You're going to finally get Golden State at a plus price for the series. Make no mistake about it, if they lose game 2 tonight. So that's the time I'd be very much interested, especially with the little birdies out there telling us that maybe Kevin Durant might be back at some point in this series. Maybe. I mean, that's still a big if. I think there's people that are hopeful and thinking now that he's starting to move on the court again, but those calf injuries can change day to day in terms of when a player returns. So that's just still up in the air. But that would be the time I'd be interested in Golden State series price, maybe if they lose game 2 tonight. For me, with the game from a side perspective, it's very, very tricky. I would lean Raptors first half because I do think they carry over some momentum from last game, but not overly strong on that. The strong bet for me is on the total. So a little foreshadowing for best bet when we end the show.
And guys, a question for both of you. As far as NBA injury news goes, I think it's an advantage for the Golden State Warriors not to say anything about Durant. Heck, he might play tonight, and they should just keep their mouth shut. Is there a possibility of that actually happening?
What?
I think you're right that it's an advantage. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I was just going to say about possibility of what again, Drew?
Of Durant actually playing tonight.
Oh, no, he's not playing tonight. He's not playing tonight. He's 100% not playing tonight.
Okay. All right. But what would be the, I guess, in game 3 or game 4, that there's a possibility of that happening, right? That them just saying like, we don't think he's going to play. He's not going to play. And then he just goes out there, right? That could happen.
Maybe they're going to be that way for game 3. I mean, Steve Kerr's already said it 2 days ago. He's not playing game 2 tonight. Game 3 is a slim possibility. I think the more realistic possibility is game 4. Game 4 is the game that I keep hearing that he's most likely, the greatest probability or greatest chance of Kevin Durant making his return, playing that first game back, is game 4, which is Friday night. So that's what I've heard. Again, this is a moving target. This is a fluid situation. You're just going to have to keep listening to what the coaches are saying day after day, particularly Steve Kerr, because they think it's going to be game 4. They certainly hope it's going to be game 4, but these calf injuries, they could be progressing nicely for a few days, and then we take a downward turn, and now it's not feeling well all of a sudden again, and a little tender, and made to the point where he may not be able to return when you think he would. So this is a changing, revolving situation that could change day to day. Right now, they're hoping and thinking game 4, but again, that's not set in stone, not by a long shot.
All right, guys, we got Red Girl back in the chat box. Good morning to you, Red Girl. Lamont Williams in the house. Casey saying, yes, since he's tore his calf, he's done. Durant not coming back this year at all from Atlas Party. So the chat box down on him coming back at all, guys. But
one more thing, actually, someone in the chat brought up one of the player props that's actually, I would think, is worth a bet here for Golden State. Draymond Green over points and rebounds. I think, what did he say, 23.5 that was? Let me just double check. Yeah, 22.5, minus 120 at bet 365 for me. Draymond Green points and rebounds. Yeah, you would think a guy like him, he's heard it about how he was off his game defensively he was in game 1, and he was. I mean, Pascal Siakam was beating him to the basket like a drum, more than one occasion in game number 1. So for a guy that's, just proclaimed before the series, I think one of the greatest defenders ever in the NBA, I'd expect a guy like that to come back strong defensively, be good, and maybe want to chip in as well. Some offense. You can never go wrong with the Draymond rebounds prop either, over 10.5. He's been getting double-digit rebounds most of these playoffs. That's always something to look at. But I think maybe even the points and rebounds combined, because I think you're going to get a pretty motivated player, one that I think realizes, hey, I'm probably option number 3 now behind Steph and Clay offensively, and I really didn't do a whole lot in game 1. Nobody else did, but him included. So I think there's an onus on him. Maybe let's look for my shot a little more, help these guys out, give a third option. And I think rebound in the basketball, he'll just be regular Draymond at that. So I know someone in the chat liked that prop, Draymond Green, total points and rebounds over 22.5. And I agree with it. I'd look in that direction as well.
Ian, are you on the Raptors in any way tonight?
I don't know. I'll be on them maybe first half, if anything, but that it won't be a full game because I think full game's a toss-up because it's going to go either way, and it's probably going to be down to the wire. So just first half maybe with the Raptors. That's it.
Tells me that I told Jimmy the Bag that when he bets on the Raptors, I mean, he really expects them to win. He knows his team. He really expects them to win because there's times where he'll be banking on or wanting the Raptors to win, but he won't put his money down. So that honestly, Ian, gives me a little more confidence in Golden State.
The way I see this game playing out, maybe Golden State comes out strong, and they could very well. I think Toronto actually carries over a little, good vibes and feelings from game 1, has a nice first half in game 1, maybe has a lead going into halftime. But then I expect Golden State to make that run. They have been a good second half team most of the playoffs, and then down to the wire we go, and it's just going to be nail bite city, I think, for both teams. But especially Toronto, because I think they got to win this. I think it's very important to get back to Golden State 2-0, 1-1, and the specter of Durant potentially looming later in this series. That's not a position I would think the Raptors would want to be in.
Great breakdowns, guys, there of the NBA Finals. We'll touch on it right before best bets and towards the end of the show here. By the way, best bets 2-1 yesterday. We did move up over the 50% mark year to date. We're at 20-19 overall, 2-1.
I have no idea. I still don't know how the hell I cashed that Brewers run line. I really don't. I mean, that game was
12-10, right?
Absolutely nuts. I mean, they were up 5-0. I thought, wow, this is going to be nice and easy. But no, Brandon Woodruff decides to pick yesterday to have his first bad start in like 7 starts. He got roughed up, got knocked out early. They were down 7-5 at one point. But, yeah, they found a way to rally extra innings, a 2-run hit, home run by, I think, Arcia for the Brewers. So somehow, some way we escaped.
Well, hopefully we can find some more winners on the MLB card, Ian. I was looking at it quickly this morning. We got Miami, San Diego tonight, Richards versus Strom. I like the under, seeing an 8 in Petco Park, 2 offenses that aren't necessarily, hitting lights out. I like Richards on that side, but I guess you could point towards the Marlins bullpen not being that strong. But I like the under in San Diego in the later game. Also Washington in an earlier game, Scherzer on the hill versus Cincinnati. Looking towards the Washington side, always scared to kind of take in their bullpen there, Ian and Ski, because looking towards the first 5, and the odds makers are all over this, it's -140 towards Washington and Max Scherzer. Still like it, but -140, not as much. Ski, we're going to talk a lot of WNBA here. I know you're on a big run on Twitter, but MLB wise, do you like anything off of today's card?
Drew, I want to just take a little day away from MLB after yesterday. I took a little spanking on the MLB card, so I'm looking to stay on the hardwood today while we have NBA Finals and WNBA.
Okay, all right. Let's hit NBA or WNBA in just a second. Ian, what about you on today's MLB card? Anything you wanted to throw out there for the watchers?
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh is, I don't know, it's like I've got some weird, crazy, sick attraction to this series for some reason, but I'm back at it with Milwaukee and Pittsburgh here today. Pittsburgh Pirates have been one of these, once you find teams like this, just keep going with it. This over streak for Pittsburgh is ridiculous right now. They are, I believe, something like, I don't know, 13-1, 14-1, 14-1 and 1 to the over in their last 16 games, something along those lines. They have been on a tremendous over streak. It's happened yesterday. And the things that make teams go on these crazy overruns, 14-15, like Pittsburgh's on right now, it's things that repeat themselves. It's lineups that are in good form, and Pittsburgh's lineup's hitting right now. Bell's hitting, Starlin Marte's hitting. Polanco was finally healthy and back in that lineup with some punch for it. Melky Cabrera hitting pretty well for the Pirates. Everybody in that lineup right now, 1 through 9, is dangerous and in good form at the plate. And then you got a Pittsburgh pitching staff that's been hit or miss. The bullpen's been a big disappointment. You put all those factors together, that's how a team goes on a massive overrun. Their lineup is clicking and their pitching suspect. And I think it's going to be that way today. Jordan Lyles has been okay, but he started to come back down to earth a bit the last couple of starts, and he's facing a Milwaukee lineup that's pretty darn potent right now too. Milwaukee, you look at their last 3 games in this series, 11 runs, 4 runs, 12 runs. They've definitely had their share of success before that. They had scored 5 runs in 2 of the 3 games against Minnesota. So this is a Milwaukee lineup that's going to be tough for Lyles. And Zach Davies, a great start to the season, and it's great numbers overall still, 2.19 ERA. But there's a lot of advanced metrics that say, hey, he's going to be poised for some regression, primed for some regression. Can't keep this up based on his xFIP, his FIP and xFIP numbers, based on his swinging strike rate, which indicates he probably shouldn't be pitching to a 2.19 ERA. He shouldn't be quite that low in terms of his earned run average. And he's going to be tested by this Pittsburgh team, which, as I said, they're hitting the ball quite well. I think Davies has a poor track record against Pittsburgh as well, from what I've seen. Let me just bring that stat up here. Yeah, 5.98 ERA for Zach Davies in his career against Pittsburgh. So that's not good. So I don't love overs a ton on getaway day Sunday games, but this one makes sense. It's 9. It's Pittsburgh that just keeps flying over the total daily. 2 bullpens that are really worn down as well after that crazy 12-10 game yesterday. So should get runs early, runs late. I like the over there.
Good stuff, Ian. And guys, if you could please hit the like button. Over 200 people watching right now. We really appreciate it. Sunday mornings, we're here Saturday and Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. Pacific. The thumbs up button will help us out, Ski, Ian, and myself. Follow Ski Profit on Twitter at Ski Profit, Ian Cameron on Twitter at Babano, myself at Drew Martin Bets. Ski, you've been great in the WNBA. It's a great time to be betting the WNBA. Volatile markets, you can get ahead of these moves. Follow him on Twitter for all of his plays, but I know you got a bunch for the show, so let's get at it, man.
Well, there's only one game today in WNBA. It's a pretty good game, Sun versus Aces. And I said yesterday I wanted the opening line to be 165 or lower, and I'll be interested in the over. And it opened at 168.5, or at least that's the number I have here. And it moved down a little bit to 166.5, and now it's sitting at 167.5. And I mean, going over some more stats, I understand the move. It's went under 4 of the last 5 Aces home games. It's went under 6 of the last 9 road games for the Sun. Sun have the best home court in WNBA. So I understand. The thing is, 5 points, I think the Sun can put up baskets. They're a great shooting team. They're the best rebounding team in the WNBA. I mean, I know the Aces are great, but I mean, Aces just lost the last game, 5 points to the Sun. I think maybe a little bit too many points right now. I need a little more time with this total. I'm not quite sure if I want to jump at 167.5 with all these stats trending more towards the under now. The Sun, they've won 9 of the last time straight up versus the Aces. I just think it's too many points. So if I had to make a play on this game, it would be the Sun plus the 5 points.
Sun plus the 5. Tamar saying Aces play fast and are having trouble defending with Cambridge and Wilson on the court. I'd lean over. So anything to say there? Yeah.
I mean, I was looking for the over. It's just, I mean, I haven't taken an over above 160, 165 yet, or 164 even. It's just a number I'm not liking so much. So I'm just trying to take a little extra second to make sure I still like it at that higher number, Tomar.
Good WNBA talk there. It's a great sport to be betting right now. Ian, is there anything else you wanted to throw out in CFL preseason? Anything for the watchers as far as good bets out there?
No, there's no CFL preseason this weekend. It's over for this weekend. But we got one more week of preseason next week. Home team finally lost. Home team split yesterday. Or no, there was only one home team game yesterday. So it was Ottawa. They went down to defeat against my Hamilton Ticats. How about that? My Hamilton Ticats, the only road team to win a preseason game so far with a depleted lineup. We didn't have the starters that Ottawa did. So way to go, Ticats. Oski wee wee, baby. They got the job done yesterday against Ottawa, so it broke the home team trend in the CFL. But yeah, interesting to see Hayden Moore pop up on my Ticats yesterday. He's battling for the third quarterback spot on the team. Hayden Moore, former Cincinnati Bearcat. Good to see him with our team, and he had an up and down college career. Let's put it that way. But battling for the third quarterback spot on this team, and actually played quite well. I think Dane Evans played really well. Before he started the game for Hamilton. Tulsa still wishes they had that guy. I mean, they had a bunch of the stiffs last year at the quarterback spot. Guys just couldn't play. I mean, brutal. Tulsa was offensively last year. So, and it's all because they lost Dane Evans. So, yeah, definitely good signs for Hamilton. They're going to have a good team this year. Preseason, though, keep an eye on that. I know finally a home team lost last night, but it's been pretty strong, 6-1 straight up in ATS home teams in the CFL preseason. Look for that angle next week when the second week of the preseason begins.
All righty, and we got West Coast in here. Ski Profit gets the big thumbs up on WNBA. Ian, thanks for the insight on CFL home team. Drew, the point guard, getting the assist and the proximity to Deerfield Beach where I'm at. Yeah, for sure, man. Well, thanks for the shout out, guys. And we got Pitt Bell 0 for 6 yesterday. So that's from Fang there. Thanks for that. Bell's been a heck of a player, though, outside of the 0 for 6 yesterday.
I meant this. I forgot to say, yeah, Bell, and I mentioned Bell has been hitting well until yesterday. Yes, that's right. Bell did not have a good day yesterday. But prior to that, this guy's got like a 330 average for the season. So he's been absolutely tearing the cover off the ball, been a big factor in that Pirates lineup.
Absolutely, from both sides of the plate too. Dom saying he hasn't had a good week, so hopefully we can help you out with best bets here, Dom. Yesterday, 2 in 1 day, 20-19 overall on the season, so slightly down unit wise, but at least over the 50% mark. And I don't know, guys, I feel it coming strong here and ending towards the NBA season and into the MLB and CFL seasons, WNBA as well. But Ian, we can start off with you, man. On Twitter at Babano. Any last thoughts on the NBA Finals for tonight, and what's your best bet for the show?
Yeah, just quickly on someone's asking about the NHL. There's no game, obviously, today. Tomorrow is Game 4 of that series, St. Louis, Boston. A big win for the Bruins last night, obviously, and I was happy to see that. I was on Boston last night, 7-2. Great performance by them, and I kind of thought we'd see a much better team. They've been good off a loss, but St. Louis not out of this series yet. Let's not forget that. For as good as Boston's been off a loss and responding to adversity and bouncing back from a bad game, St. Louis has been every bit as good as Boston in that department. They've bounced back strong off a loss. They've faced adversity and bounced back. They got the terrible screw job of a lifetime when the hand pass was not detected. The goal for San Jose was allowed to stand in the last round. They found a way to overcome that, bounce back from that punch to the gut, and come back to win the next game, St. Louis, and that series. This is a team that's not going to quit. I'd expect the Blues to be a lot better tomorrow night at home after a blowout home loss. I know Boston was great. This still has the makings of a back and forth series. I'm leaning St. Louis right now tomorrow night in Game 4. I haven't locked anything in yet, but certainly leaning in that direction. Best bet for the show today, NBA, Finals Game 2, Golden State, Toronto. I don't like that we've got about 1.5 worse of the number here on this one, but I still like it nevertheless. You talk two teams talking about improving at the defensive end of the court. Golden State knows it has to start there for them, considering that how bad, the number of points, the percentages the Raptors shot. They were getting 2s, they were getting 3s. The transition defense was poor. I mean, Toronto was just beating them down to the other end of the court repeatedly in Game 1. Golden State knows that they've got to fix that. Toronto knows that they've got to just, number 1 defense in the NBA playoffs so far. Number 1 defensive efficiency. I don't think their defense is going away anytime soon. And, Golden State, we're still having some issues about who is going to be that third option for Steph and Clay. Until they find that, I think they're going to go through some lulls offensively. So, again, this total's come down a bit. Not quite getting the number we got yesterday, but still like it enough to make it a best bet at this current number. We're going to go with Golden State Toronto under 213.5. Best bet for game 2 tonight.
Like in the under 213.5 from Ian Cameron at Babano on Twitter. Guys, almost 250 people watching right now every Saturday and Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Please give us a thumbs up, the like button. It does help us out. We got Ski Profit on Twitter at Ski Profit. Ski, any last thoughts here on the NBA game tonight, NBA Finals game, and your best bet, buddy?
Yeah, Ian already said a lot of great points about the defense. I'll read a couple stats that I already mentioned, but under 18-11 after a loss this year, under 25-14 last 39 without KD, with Steph. Last 3 first halves combined, 105. I'm on the first half under, so we'll be riding the under wave with our best bets. And just as far as the series, I must say, as far as the game, I like Golden State early on that first quarter and Golden State on the game as well. If really quick, I just want to mention this comment from Tomar. 167 is high, but both teams play fast. Aces really struggled defensively with Cambridge and Wilson on the court at the same time. I agree. And Aces allow 40% from the 3. So I see the Sun having success there. I'll take another look. Maybe I will still take it at the high number.
Okay, and Ski, just to make sure, first half under in tonight's game, under 109, is that the best number you got?
Whatever number you see there, Drew, that's fine with me. I got 109.5 as a bet for me, but whatever number is there, 109 is just as good.
Okay, I'm clicking over right now on first half. Yep, under 109.5 at 5 dimes. We also got it at Intertops and Bovada on SBR odds right now. And guys, make sure to be shopping around, because that half a point, it ends on 109. That turns a push into a winner. So if you're a $100 better, that's $100 in your pocket. Something to definitely shop around for. Very important there in sports betting. I'm going to go to the NBA game as well. Let's make it all 3 bets on the NBA game. Was going to hit MLB, but I'm going MLB, and I'm going back. I might be stuck in my ways, but I don't care. Golden State +2 on the road to tie it up. Full game, not getting fancy. Full game, Golden State with the underdog. I feel like we're getting the better team plus the points. So Golden State +2 for my best bet. We got Ian Cameron on under 213.5. Ski Profit on the first half under 109.5, and I am on Golden State +2. Ski, anything in conclusion on the show, man?
I like it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm deciding between first quarter, full game, or both for Golden State. And I just like it, Drew. I'm happy to see you're on it.
All right. You're pointing me in that direction, man. I'm not going to lie. And Ian Cameron, any final thoughts here before we shut this down?
No, just another great show. I always enjoy spending a Saturday and Sunday morning with you guys, talking not just NBA, but throughout the summer. When NBA stops, we'll be going more and more into the sports that go through MLB, WNBA, CFL, the sports that carry us through the summer months. Hell, maybe we'll do some NFL and college football previews on this show. Who the hell knows? But looking forward to it, being with you guys every weekend.
Absolutely, man. Fun show. Thanks for joining in, everybody out there. Please smash the like button on your way out. We'll be back Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, breaking down the Saturday card and the whole weekend card in general. For Ski Profit, Ian Cameron, I am Drew Martin. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck with your bets, guys.
Good luck, everybody.